celebrate life, 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 life. We celebrate life, 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 life.
Are you doing this because you know you have access to the money and you can write some very good proposals or can come up with some good causes that would surely find voice or find ear with a Western donor? Or are you doing this because that's what you really, you know, deep down you feel you want to make a change in this particular area?
We celebrate life, 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 life. We celebrate life, life.
On the largest part, we're all getting funding from outside, and it is a concern because if our donors say maybe reorganize, you know, come up with new themes that they want to address and everything, well, where does that leave you? I mean, either you have to change your strategic focus to be in line with the donors' new strategic focus so that you can continue getting funding, or basically you're without money.
That most of the donors, most of the funders are asking for these particular organizations to work in areas that interest them. For instance, that if there is a perspective that another NGO wants, there's a likelihood, there's a very high possibility that they would want that perspective to be carried by an organization, and where that organization does not follow it, then of course there's no relationship.
Have you asked the community? Is the community agreeable with that? How are they going to participate in the decision-making process? How is the local content going to be built into this process? We put 50 telecenters in 50 communities, or we will put, build 50 hospitals in. Are never really successful because people are not involved in those decisions. But still there's this attitude of saying, we do work in this field, take it or leave it. One very important issue to consider is culture. And many times this is forgotten by interventions from the north into our countries. I think any intervention is an intervention anyway. It's disrupting something and has to do a lot with culture. I don't believe in cultures that are the same over the years, because cultures evolve, and that's normal. Cultures are made of these interactions with other cultures, which is good, and we are ready for that. But the terms of the exchange in cultural terms has to be equal, has to be horizontal. And NGOs from the north working in the south have to be very, very careful, because their intervention is disrupting the local culture, and they have to know at what point, and they have to discuss it with people. I mean, they really have to have a dialogue with people. I think the whole idea of development, and in my case communication for development, has two key words, and one is participation and the other one is dialogue. Many times we talk about participation in terms of access. This community participated because the community did the work. We decided, but the community did the work, so the community participated. For me, that's not participation. Participation is participation in the decision-making process from the beginning. And that's very important to take into account when NGOs from the north go and work in our countries.
It seems to me that northern agencies want to try and express solidarity with their partners or their counterparts in the south. And there's sort of two ways of looking at it. One is, do we express solidarity by being with you there? Or do we actually express solidarity by not being there and trusting you? And the rationale for doing one or the other, being in the south or not being in the south, tends to hinge around this issue of local intelligence, local insensitivity, much more local information, so that the quality of your decisions are much, much more located locally. The other side of that coin is continue looking over people's shoulders and being so well informed that you're continually trying to micromanage, or you're continually trying to give feedback, which on the one hand is a solidarity, but it's a sense of, can we actually trust you? Three ways of decentralizing. You can deconcentrate So you just put your technical people in the south, but they have no decision-making authority. They simply have to go to the north to say, what can we do? Or you actually delegate authority to the south and you give enough discretion in the south so when a southern organization is talking to a northern organization in the south, that they're actually talking to people who can make decisions. And they're not simply a postbox, which just adds a layer of bureaucracy and it doesn't actually offer that much. Or you can actually devolve authority to a partner organization, which has been tried by some NGOs years ago.
Another aspect about the northern NGOs, they are making or developing what we may call middlemen. Yeah. Organizations, you know, who have got an international reach, therefore develop country middlemen. That if you want to get funding from one organization, then the contact person is this organization, which contact person therefore reduces the chances of consortiums like CRECO or other indigenous organizations from, you know, controlling the agenda of governance of institutions and strengthening of institutions, which is weakening the systems of these organizations.
We have had, let's say, a period where northern experts will think that, okay, they are the best, and they have things to offer, nothing to learn, of course, and then in the southern institutions, there was no capacity. You remember we were talking about capacity building, but nowadays we do recognize that there is some capacity everywhere, and we should be talking about capacity development. Best way, I would think, will be to help the southern institutions, whether they are farmer organizations or civil society organizations, develop their own capacities. So we should first start from a clear assessment of what is there, what are the strengths, and what are certainly, you know, the weaknesses we have in place, and try to help people develop that. We have to help local people, you know, we have to get into their life projects and then participate with them to make their life the way they want.
The northern NGO should think about capacity development, not getting middlemen to develop the capacity of these organizations, but putting in place mechanisms, structures, even if it means funding, to ensure that the capacity to implement and the capacity to ensure internal and external governance within the countries and within the organization is carried out. When you are talking about capacity development and you want to fund me and you want to develop my capacity, then you are duplicating your organization in this organization and you are not appreciating the things that happen. That's the thing, that because then it kills creativity, it kills innovation, like Kate said, and it kills the fact that organizations, the organizational structure or the matrix of organizational development is not let to blossom in freedom.
The obvious is the funds, but I think a lot of capacity building and sharing of experiences. The donors that we happen to work with work in so many other developing countries as well. So there's a lot of sharing of experience. A lot of at least the partners that we've worked with, they're very experienced in their own right in terms of the programs, the projects and things that they have worked on. So there's, even at a person level, a lot that we can benefit from this type of interaction with them. And also credibility. Frankly, I think for ourselves, our government probably started looking at us differently when we had these big partners, you know, willing to invest in us and provide us money. And so we obviously must have been doing something right.
Organizations in the north have got very horrible bureaucracies, horrible, which we can do without. If there is a crisis in Kenya, you don't need 4 months to process money to go carry out an activity to ensure there is peace. You don't, but that's what's happening.
I had a cartoon in my office. It was a northern expert going to the south and telling the farmer, I have come for a north-south dialogue. And the farmer said, yes, but I will be the north. Which means that north plus south equals 1. We need exchanges, you know, without ideology, you know, definitely.
We're not equals, and I'm not saying that in any way, because like I said, there's certain areas which either they agree with or they simply don't agree with it. So if I came up with a proposal that was totally out of their line, I mean, right off the bat, the answer is no. I mean, if it's not in their area or their scope of work, then we can't begin to discuss. So that's why I'm saying we're not exactly equals.
What is the governance structure of a northern NGO that accommodates Southern Voice itself? The CEO of the chief executive or the leader of a Southern organization is not dealing with a similar figure in the Northern agency. That's the director back here, or a directrice, back here. So there's always an asymmetry in the power relation, in the power level. Can we do something about that by getting the South on the board of the North?
Equality should come in more and more. We said it in the past, but it's not happening.
Please think about that.